Hello, my name is Ben.
And my name is Josh.
And welcome back to FPL Graduates. Now, Josh, we are looking at a Game Week 18 preview, the blank game week, the big dog. Should we bring a special guest on?
We always have to, don't we? So this week, it's none other than the SNS Football Podcast. It's Braydon. Here he is. Look at that kit. What a sexy kit. Love to see it.
Thanks for having me on, boys. Appreciate it.
No worries, mate.
Another United fan on, Josh. Where do you find all of these, you know?
They're scattered everywhere, mate.
As I'm sure a lot of you guys know, Braydon has been on this channel before, FPL Fridays. Great episode. If you haven't already, after this live stream, go and check it out. But you've also started a brand new podcast sort of football channel. Tell us a bit more about it, Braydon.
Well, basically, me and one of my mates, Morgan, who's on the same course as me, we just kept waffling about football and lectures, to be honest. And we were like, we'll start a podcast. So, yeah, that's how it started. I think we've been going for a month or two now. So we upload episodes on, the football every week, talking about it, the main stuff. But now through sort of the January transfer window, I'm mainly live streaming sort of every night, apart from the weekends, just giving you transfer news, football news. We get people on. I know Josh has been on. Brano, you're going to come on soon and talk about, I think, Omar Richards, and we've had a few people on as well. So yeah, if you do want to go and check us out, I'm sure the boys will give us a link in the sort of comments and stuff. But
don't you worry.
Yeah, no, that's it, mate. That's all to say, really.
Yeah, so we linked your Twitter and your YouTube in the description. Be sure to check it out. Some great content. I mean, I've been watching along, keeping up. He's been grinding every day. He's been live streaming. So make sure you keep up to date with that. And yeah, obviously support Man United. We'll drop into an update of what you think the best Man United assets are in FPL.
I mean, I remember when I was on FPL sort of Fridays on your channel, I know I got a lot of stick for constantly mentioning Man United assets, but no, I'll try and slim it down this time. I think the main one is obviously Bruno Fernandes. He's been my captain for God knows how many weeks, and I've kept him because he keeps returning. It's as simple as that. So him, I've just got Rashford in, actually. I was thinking about getting him in a few weeks back, but I managed to sort of get him in now. I've had to jiggle a bit of the funds around. So him, Rashford. I guess I was gonna say Martial, but like he does as much as he doesn't score a lot, he does actually contribute quite a few assists. That's the thing people don't realise. So Martial, when he has a good game, usually gets a goal or at least an assist. So he's like a wild card. So yeah, I'll probably say them three are the main ones, and then obviously Cavani if he ever comes into the starting 11, and possibly Telles as a defensive option if you want to chuck him in as a sort of a defender which has got a good attacking outlet as well.
Yeah, I mean, Josh, you're a United fan as well, so you can probably input on that. Are they some good choices to have?
Yeah, it's the obvious ones of Bruno and Rashford. Both of them obviously very good picks. Obviously, defensively, it's a bit hard right now. A few injuries knocking about. Luke Shaw seems to be more of a first choice at left back, which is quite surprising. I think a lot of people thought Telles might have took that shirt, but I think he's been a bit in and out in terms of where he's like not match fit. He didn't join the team pre-season, etc. like that. Other than that, though, I can't really see many more assets. Cavani maybe as a differential, but he needs to. Well, he's just coming back from his 3-match ban, so we'll have to wait and see on that. But Bruno is the number one, as everyone probably already knows.
Yeah, so we'll get into all of your questions in just a little while. We'll look into Game Week 18. How do you want to do this? Should we go straight into some teams for this week?
Yeah. We'll start with yours if you want.
Yeah, we'll start with my one. The dream team, the free hit. It's going to be a good one. It should be on the screen now. Hashtag Kepa squad, boys. Hashtag Kepa squad. You really stiffed me on TikTok, lads. I'm not going to lie. It started with me putting up a TikTok of basically saying, I'll let the comments decide who I pick in my team. The most liked comment I put in my team. 1,000 likes later, and finding team, I picked Kepa. So yeah, he's in the team there. Obviously, he's not playing, so the backup, David De Gea. So you know what? It's not too bad. It could have been a lot worse. It could have been someone who was playing in Brighton or someone. But yeah, TikTok didn't think too much about that. So in defence, John Stones is a bit of a cheaper option compared to Ruben Diaz, which is why I've gone for him. This is a free hit, by the way. I don't think I mentioned it, but I put Stones in there. Kieran Tierney, he's in great form at the moment, one of the most informed defenders, so he had to slot straight in. Sice, I put him in just to have someone for that fixture, someone for that Everton game. They've not got Calvert-Lewin. They've potentially not got Richarlison either for that game. I know Lucas Digne's back, but the injuries all over the shop at Everton in attack. So I thought, you know what, defensive Wolves option could be safe. Reguilon at home to Fulham, who haven't prepared to play Tottenham. I mean, that's big. I think Tottenham can keep a clean sheet against these, and Reguilon can provide some attacking input going forwards in that Tottenham team, as well as Heung-min Son. Obviously, it might not be the best game for him to play. I know me and Josh have been talking about it. Having Son in against a team that low blocks, sometimes not the best, but you know, I've got to keep the faith with Sonny. He's done the business for me this season for the majority. De Bruyne is my captain against Brighton at home. Brighton played 120 minutes against Newport. I don't think Potter was expecting that game to go 120 minutes. So, you know what? I'll take that all day long. De Bruyne could do really well against this depleted Brighton team. And he had a bit of a rest as well. He only played, what was it, 60, 70 minutes in the cup?
45 minutes for De Bruyne.
40, even better. He only played 45. Similar sort of story with Ilkay Gundogan. He didn't play at all, but was on the bench. So I know he's fit and I know he's ready to go. So instantly straight in. Could have gone Phil Foden, but Gundogan saves a bit of money, and Pep Guardiola has been talking of him very highly, and recently even suggesting that he could play that false nine role that De Bruyne played so well in previous weeks. So be interesting to see how that one plays out. Bruno Fernandes, as per usual, I mean, he's blanked twice this season, if that. Lacazette up front, most informed striker in the league currently, and Harry Kane. Well, he's Harry Kane, and on the bench, it's a couple of changes compared to when I was on live with Glenn earlier. I've been convinced to get Smith Rowe on this.
He'll be buzzing with that.
He'll be buzzing with that. I mean, 3 Arsenal players in the team is crazy. So I've got him in. Lascelles just as a backup option in case one of these defenders don't play. And Brewster, of course, a playing striker at 4.5 million. You can't go too much wrong about that. Braydon, what do you think about that free hit team? Is it a good one to go into this game week?
You've certainly gone big, mate. I think that midfield is unreal, to be honest. Son, De Bruyne, Fernandes. Obviously, there was question marks about De Bruyne this season, but he is hitting some good form now. Gundogan is a good shout. I mean, he's hit some good form as well. And like you mentioned, if he plays in that false nine role, it could be very interesting to see how he performs in that role and how many attacking returns he gets. But and then Kane is a bagsman. He will bag goals. And Lacazette, like you said, in great form, and sort of since the resurgence of Arsenal, since sort of that 3-1 win against Chelsea, has been vital. And I think I don't think you're doing too bad getting Smith Rowe in either. He obviously scored against Newcastle in the FA Cup as well. Watched sort of the first bit of extra time when he did score. It was a fantastically taken goal. He almost got sent off beforehand, which was interesting. But a great finish from him. And I think your defence is solid. I think Stones was fantastic, and like I said, Diaz and Stones against United I thought were both magnificent. Diaz was unplayable, but Stones was equally as good as well. So solid team there, mate.
Go on, Josh, pick some holes, my team. I know you.
Some holes. I don't know. I'm not a fan of the Wolves-Everton fixture, although I do think there won't be a lot of goals. I just don't trust either Wolves or Everton, so that's why I've not opted for Sice or any Everton players. But the rest of it does look good. It's pretty similar, obviously, to mine. They're all going to be quite similar in the way that, obviously, a lot of there's only 6 games being played, so there's a lot of similar players in there. But yeah, it looks not too shabby. Just Sice for me.
Doesn't look too bad at all. Now we can go in and who wants to show their team next?
Okay, we'll get the graduates out of the way first.
Get the
Yeah.
graduates out of the
Go
way.
on, Josh, mate.
All right, let me just sort it out.
Set
Give
the
me
bar
2
high.
seconds.
You do this every week, lads.
Right, can you see my team then? Yeah.
Yeah, we got it up
Yeah.
here. There you go.
Awesome. Right, so we'll start off in goal. De Gea starts in goal. I don't think United will keep a clean sheet, which is very contradictory of me picking a keeper of their team. But I won't pick Edison because I don't know if he's going to start. I wouldn't pick Lloris. I think he's a little bit more than De Gea. So I'm hoping United can actually do me a solid
can
and
hope,
keep
Josh,
an
we can
away
hope.
clean sheet. They've not kept an away clean sheet this season, so let's hope they can do it against Burnley. Holding it set in defence. He didn't let me down last week, got me a 10-pointer. I don't really see a reason to upgrade him to Tierney, and I don't have the funds for it, to be honest. So Holding will take the place there. John Stones, same reason as Ben. I would love Ruben Diaz, would love Cancelo, don't have the funds for it. John Stones does the job. He only played 45 minutes against Birmingham, the same as Ruben Diaz, the same as De Bruyne. So I'm more than happy and confident that he will start with Diaz. Eric Dyer, rumours that he might not be starting, apparently. He's played every 90 minutes for Spurs so far this season, so you can understand if he doesn't. But let's just hope Mourinho keeps faith in his Portuguese-speaking English centre-half. We've got Bruno Fernandes, vice-captain. He's a safe captaincy option, don't get me wrong. But for me, I think KDB is a much better option. And obviously, KDB is in there. Captain, home to Brighton. Brighton leak goals like a terrible toilet, mate. So I'll have KDB every day. Heung-min Son, Fulham at home. Obviously, the fixture got changed. Was Aston Villa. Was going to get postponed, but then they changed it, which is awesome. I don't think Son will get a lot of returns, maybe the odd assist or goal, but I'm more than happy to have him in the team. Phil Foden, Brighton at home. Big question mark because he played 90 against Birmingham. He played, I think, almost 90 against Man United in the midweek. So whether he'll have 3 games running is a big question, but I looked at Man City's squad and I just don't think they can afford not to play him. They haven't got a lot of rotation right now with Aguero not being totally match fit. I don't think Pep fancies Jesus either. So I'm praying and hoping that he does start. I think I'll risk it. I won't go for Gundogan just because I feel Foden's very explosive. Like he's as good as De Bruyne on his day in terms of getting those FPL points. So I'll stick with him for now. The front 3, a lot of people asking in the TikTok live, do I get Lacazette? Do I get Kane? Do I get Wilson? Well, why not have all 3, lads? Lacazette, Kane, and Wilson. Wilson, obviously, playing Sheffield United. They haven't kept a clean sheet yet. He might be a little bit unfit or something along those lines, but I think Steve Bruce just rested him against Arsenal, ready for this Sheffield United game. It's a big 3 points if they can get it to stay clear of that relegation zone. Kane, we've spoke about him. Scores goals, gets assists, penalties, you name it, he does it. And Lacazette, like Ben said, one of the most informed strikers in the league right now. Bench is looking pretty solid as well. Verip's just there just to make up the numbers, to be honest. Kieran Clark, 4.5 million. He'll be my first sub if anyone doesn't play. For example, Foden. He's probably unlikely, but we'll see about that. Oliver Burke, he's like 4.3 million, so he's the cheapest midfielder, and he starts up front for Sheffield United, so that's a good option. And same with Mitchell. I don't think he'll be coming into the team, but he's playing and he's also facing Arsenal, so they probably won't concede too many. So not too bad. Braydon, what are you saying? Is there any, who do you say is better, mine or Ben's? Obviously, they're very similar, so have a guess.
Very similar. I think the midfields are obviously very similar. Obviously, you've gone with Foden and Brano went with Gundogan, so very similar there. I think Foden, is as good as Gundogan and going forward and getting goals and assists. So nothing really wrong with that midfield comparing the two. Dyer is an interesting one because I don't think he travelled to the Marine game in the FA Cup. So whether Mourinho had that in the back of his mind and kept him back. So you might be onto a winner there, Josh. You might be keeping him back for the game against Fulham. And then Stones, and Stones, obviously I said how well he performed. Holding's an interesting one. He's played well at the minute of Arsenal are playing well, but I still think at any moment, his qualities could crack because I don't think he's a sort of defender Arsenal are really looking for if they want to get back up to where they need to be. But as you say, at the minute he is on form, so you got to keep him in. De Gea, we love a clean sheet against Burnley because if you get a clean sheet, you're halfway to winning a game, really, aren't you? So, yeah, and then your front three, Lacazette, Kane, nothing wrong with that. And then Wilson's an interesting one because he's just come back from injury, like you mentioned, and you're still back in store against Sheffield United, who, like you said, are leaking goals for fun.
Decent. Right, shall we move on to Braydon's team? I'll stop sharing mine, and then Braydon can show us his. Has he free hitted? I don't even know what you've done this week, to be fair.
I haven't, mate. I haven't free hitted, but look, I'm going to be honest. This is my team. Let me just share my screen because I had to change things around a little bit because I hadn't touched my team for a while, for like a long while.
So what happens when he doesn't live the gets about it?
Mate, you're not wrong. So I actually kept McCarthy in goal. Don't ask me why. I completely didn't realise that he had illness and forced to come in for him. So yeah, that was a poor move by myself. Justin, Kilman, and Tellez. I know Justin, I don't think plays this game week, but I just kept him in there rather than chopping and changing. So Justin, Kilman's a difficult one because as much as I want to get rid of him, he is a cheap option and he does start a few games. So most likely when I take him out, he will start that game. So I don't want to move him because he most likely will start when I take him out. Tellez, I was actually about to take out today, and I think I did take him out. But then I realised Luke Shaw's injured, and he will start because beforehand he hadn't been playing. Luke Shaw had obviously been playing, but got an assist against Watford for the corner. So I think hopefully if he can push on a bit and maybe even on a set piece as well, get an assist or even a goal, that's always an option there. Midfield, Son. Like I said, if you've got Kane, you've got to have Son as well. So the pair of them are in there as well, like a little couple there. Grealish, he's unbelievable for Villa, and I think he's always going to have an attacking output in every game, even when he played against United and for the rest of the Premier League. He's so dangerous that he creates anything for that Villa team, and everything goes through him really. Rashford, I've just brought in because, like I said to Brano before we come on, I've been chopped. I wasn't sure when to bring him in. I was going to bring him in, but I wasn't sure when. But I thought I'll go with it now because I think with the Burnley game, if we got Rashford, hopefully, running at them, you never know, he might get a goal or an assist. Bruno captain, like I said, he's been my captain for so many weeks, and he keeps returning, so there's no point changing it. And then I'll scroll down so you can see my front three. Kane, Ings, and Bamford, and I know it's Brano's favourite friend Bamford up there, but I had to lose Calvert-Lewin because of his injury and free up a bit of money for Rashford. So I thought I'll get Bamford in because the way Leeds play, the amount of chances they create, and he has scored goals this season. I'd still back him to score, and then Danny Ings scored a great goal against Liverpool, and then obviously Kane's up there as well. And then on the bench, a little bit of a meh bench. Steer, just to, be the sort of mascot, really. Jorginho, I had him on there to be like my first sub, but he can't even take a pen now and score. That was the only reason I had him. If he come on or played and did a goal contribution, he can't even do a Bruno Fernandes pen anymore. So, that's gone a bit up the Swanee. Dunn's there because I think he does get a little bit of a look in at Burnley, but obviously injured at the minute. And then Tariq Lamptey, usually I do start him or have him in maybe for Max Kilman, but obviously he's injured at the minute, so he's dropped to the bench.
Yeah, it's interesting because obviously not fielding a full 11, which obviously everyone's trying to do, but it's probably looking forward into the next game week. You have a lot of double game week players. What do you think, Brownell?
Yeah, I'm interested. Do you still have your free hit? I assume you.
I think I do. I haven't used it, so yeah.
Are you not fit? Are you not tempted to use it this week because you've only got six players?
I was, but I'm just like, I don't know, because I don't want to change too many players because a lot of these players are playing quite well, so I don't want to use a free hit and only bring in maybe one or two players when I could just do that over a weekend off of free transfers. So I think if I was going to do a free hit, I'd have to have half the team not performing. Like I got rid of James because he wasn't performing. I think I got rid of someone else. I can't remember who. But yeah, I think I'll keep that for when I need to make bigger changes. The free hit.
Okay. It's interesting to see the strategy of Braydon, who hasn't looked at the app in a few days, weeks, possibly, compared to the graduates. We'll look into the fixtures, and they're running along the bottom of the screen now. There's not too many of them, just a select few. Now, if you're looking at these fixtures and you're looking at the teams that are playing, what players do you think you should sort of be aiming to look to get into your FPL team for this week, Braydon?
I'll try and start away from United because I know the Burnley game, as much as where they are in the league, we all know Burnley can cause a huge upset no matter who they play. So I'll steer away from that game. Wolves, Everton, I would have said Calvert-Lewin, obviously, because he does still bag goals, but unfortunately he's injured. Wolves could be interesting with maybe Neto, even Neves, but I know with Neves he plays well, but I don't think he may get many FPL points for sort of pass completed and stuff like that as the assists we're looking for. So Neves and Neto, maybe even Podence if he's fit and firing. City, you're looking at De Bruyne, Gundogan, like I said, Foden, all the attacking assets. So I think they're going to create a lot of chances against, like I said, a Brighton team who rocked up to Romney Parade and didn't expect 120 minutes pens on a pitch, which is worse than some of the farms down here. So, yeah, it was... Yeah, I think Brighton are going to be very leggy after that game. And I think a lot of their first teamers did play. So I think City will just have a field day on that one. Tottenham, you got to look at Kane and Son again to deliver the goods against, a Fulham team which has actually come on really well since the beginning of the season. Because I think a lot of people had doubts over whether they would stay up. I think the first few games of their season, everyone was like, yeah, no, they're not staying up. But they have really improved, and Scott Parker's doing really well there. But I think Tottenham will have too much for them. Then Arsenal, sort of Crystal Palace is an interesting one because I think with Arsenal, it would be the most Arsenal thing to have all this momentum and then lose to Crystal Palace. And I don't mean that in any mean way at all, but you can just see it coming I don't know, maybe a Benteke header or something, 1-0, or Zaha tears Arsenal 1 or something. You can just feel it coming or something. But I think you still got to back Lacazette, Tierney, the ones that are in form at the minute. But yeah, I think there's a lot of players that, could get returns, and that's obviously without mentioning sort of the United lads as well.
Josh, what fixtures are we, as FPL graduates, aim to look towards? Because I feel like I've probably got the same opinion on this as you do.
Yeah, so it's obviously there's probably a big three that you can look towards. So the Man City fixture at home to Brighton. We know that Man City tear teams are part of the Etihad. Brighton have leaked goals, as I mentioned. So they're probably the main game to look towards in terms of attacking and defensive, because they've got the best defensive record in the league. I think they've kept 6 clean sheets out of their last 8 or something stupid like that in all competitions. So great partnership at the back. Stones or Diaz, don't really matter which one you get. Cancelo's a bit of a risk in terms of rotation. Will he play? I don't know if he played against Birmingham. I haven't really looked at him. He just wasn't on my radar. But yeah, so that's the main one. United, Burnley, of course. It's mainly for Bruno Fernandes. You could probably get away with getting a United defender in there, like a De Gea, Maguire, Wan-Bissaka. Telles is a difficult one because Ollie said today that Luke Shaw has passed fit, so he could start. We know Ollie loves playing Luke Shaw, whether he does or not, because he might not risk him. It's a risky one, so you could just well go for the easier option with Maguire or Wan-Bissaka. And then the Tottenham boys, I think a triple up is needed against Fulham. I think you agree, Brownell. Kane, Son, and then a defender of your choice, I think, is the way to go.
Yeah, completely agree. Before we get into our captain picks of this week, we're going to have a look at a couple of comments and a couple of questions that we got. William, thank you for commenting. He says, how many of you are using your free hit? Well, we can answer that straight away. Me and Josh are both using our free hits, and Braydon is sticking his neck out and not hitting the free hit. Lewis's agenda
I seen him as I was talking about him.
And he can smell the United agenda from London. Well, little does he know that he won't be happy about this, but earlier on I predicted Chelsea to lose to Fulham. So we got Jack Commenson here, huge fan. Thank you for all the support, mate. Thoughts on captaining Son or Kane over KDB or Bruno? Now we'll hand that one over to Braydon, I think.
That's a difficult one. Look, De Bruyne and Bruno, like with Bruno, as Brannan mentioned, he has only blanked a couple times this season, and them couple times he has blanked, I think have genuinely been against sort of top 6 clubs. I think against sort of teams in the lower half of the table, he has returned and, even performed really well. So I think I'd still back Bruno. De Bruyne is getting some good form, so that's not the worst shout. Son or like, you're not wrong, captain, any of these, because I think these are all games which are set up for all these players to do well and get returns. So, yeah, look, the choice is yours. I don't think you can go wrong. I don't think you go too wrong with any of these. I'd still stick with Bruno myself because he hasn't let me down. But for you, I think any of them, and you'd be spot on, to be honest.
Yeah, what do you think, Ben? Because obviously on Glenn's stream that we did earlier on, you was toying with the idea. We both got KDB. Has your mind changed at all?
I'm so tempted. I'm so tempted. I don't think you understand. I really want to, but like with both Brighton and Fulham, both of these teams have big problems in their squad at the moment leading up to this game. And this is probably not a good time for either team to be playing a team of higher caliber, such as a Tottenham or a Man City. So I think either option is probably a good one to go for. It's just picking the one that's going to get the most points. And I think it's going to come from KDB. I know how prolific Son and Kane are together. And the fact that, now I'm convinced myself to go Tottenham again. So it really is going to be like the flip of a coin for me this week in terms of Son or Kane over KDB. I don't think you can include Bruno in the conversation for captaincy this week because, I don't see United scoring too many goals away at Burnley. You see, that's my opinion on it.
Watch us win 4-0 now, Brano.
To be fair, the past couple seasons we have scored a few there, but it's a night fixture. It's going to be cold. I don't know if they're going to be up for it, if I'm honest. So, it's going to be interesting. Any more comments? Go on, Ben. I know there's a few.
The Red Gamers says, which is the best team to go big on? Now, we'll talk about this from short-term and, I guess, longer-term perspective. Josh, what would you say is the sort of best team to go real big on?
Joe, do you want to go on?
For short-term and long-term, it's definitely Manchester City. Their fixture run is ridiculous. They've got the best double game week fixtures out of everyone. So them, as in general, I know you don't have KDB, Ben, but you're looking to get him in. I think he's pretty much essential looking forward, especially if they continue playing as well as they have been. Brighton will be a good sticking point in terms of seeing, like, is this the real deal for City sort of thing? Is this where they actually are picking it up, or they're going to drop back? Because obviously this season they've been a little bit different to seasons gone by. They're a lot better defensively and a little bit less good going forward. Whereas before they've been outstanding going forward, but leaking goals at the back. So it's interesting with that one. So Man City for sure. I think you can't look really far past Liverpool, although they don't play in the blank. Obviously, long term, they've got the double game week against United and Burnley, both games at home. That means you need Mo Salah in still. So he's also a good option. I don't know if I'd go for their defence after seeing it against Villa in the Cup, and just it does look a bit squeaky at the back. Losing to Southampton, drawing to Newcastle, that not been good results for them. So hopefully they can pick it up. United, obviously, you basically just want to look at the top four and just think, any of these assets do I need? And I think Bruno Fernandes, Mo Salah, Son, Kane, De Bruyne. I know you can't get all of them, but you can at least get 4 out of the 5. And I think you need all 4 out of the 5 going forward.
Yeah, I've just seen a really interesting question here. And is Kane and Son essential, as I'm struggling to get Kane in? Braydon, you've got both of them. Are they both essential to have together?
I think it's paid off for me this season. We take, for example, I know it was a freak game, but the Southampton game where Tottenham pummeled them, I think Son scored like 3 or 4, and Kane got all 4 assists for his goals. And the majority of the time, Kane is assisting for Son, or Son's assisting for Kane. So I think it's just a preference for me. I'd like to have them both in the same team. But I think even if you put one in, I think either of them can return. But yeah, I'd prefer having the both eggs, like you said, most of the time. They are, contributing for each other, to be honest.
Yeah, me and Josh have different opinions on this one. We've brought this up a few times. I've said before, in the long term, you either have to have none of them or both of them to really get maximum returns from it. If you have one of them, the returns that you get could essentially be doubled if you had the other one, because usually they're scoring and assisting for each other. So that's my opinion of it. I think if you've got one end, you have to have both in. I think that's my general consensus with it. Josh, you have a different opinion on it though, don't you?
Yeah, I've never owned both. Well, I think I've owned both for maybe one game this season, and that was literally just before I hit my wild card. So rarely had both. I've mainly had Son. I think I've only had Kane for one game week this season. That's when he scored against West Brom in like the 90th minute. I do understand where you're coming from with the if you need both, like you have to have both if you don't have any at all. But for me, Son, ever since I've had him, I haven't necessarily lost rank or really gained a lot, but it's just there to sort of tie the crosses sort of thing, or not the crosses as they say, because if I have one, I'm not going to lose rank compared to not having both. If I don't have both, it's going to be like disastrous if they both go off, like we've mentioned the Southampton game. But we've seen in more recent times that Son and Kane have not been the Son and Kane of the start of the season. They're not necessarily scoring and assisting together as much as they used to. It's been a bit here or there. We've seen a lot of like assists from Son from the corners. We saw it out of the Alderweireld against Leeds. So they both have good aspects of their game, both pros and cons. Personally, I've gone with Son just because of the price. Harry Kane's definitely a good option, but if you're looking forward and you have Salah, KDB, Bruno Fernandes, you can't go for both. Those three are way more important than the Spurs, in my opinion. So that's where it has to come to an end. And I think you'll find that out in the coming week, Ben, when you have to try and get KDB, and it's just literally impossible to have Bruno, Salah, KDB, and the Spurs boys.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to find a way of getting that in. We'll take this last question, which leads us on nicely to the next segment, is who are we captaining this week? Game week 18 captain pick. Well, Braydon, what are you thinking for captaincy this week?
As I've said multiple times, probably in this stream already, it's going to be Bruno Fernandes. He hasn't let me down. I think ever since I started captaining him, because I used to have Son and Kane, I used to change between them. But I captained Bruno, and ever since I did, he's kept returning and obviously doubling up points and stuff. So yeah, no, I'm sticking with him. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So yeah, Bruno's my captain again.
Yeah, so the most transferred in is De Bruyne this week. 367,000 people bringing him in already. Is he out is
Salah, which is also interesting.
Yeah. So, Josh, is KDB the obvious pick to go for this week for captaincy?
Yeah, I think he is. I think we both probably agree. If you had to, if someone had a gun to your head and you're picking captaincy right now, you'd choose KDB. I think he's less of a risk. He's at home. He's got Brighton, so I think that's very interesting though, because a couple of weeks ago, everyone was just shipping him out. Like I can't remember who he banked again. I think it was Newcastle or something like that. And it was just like nightmare scenario for everyone, saying, "Oh, he's not worth it. He's been so inconsistent." And you just goes to show 2 weeks later, he's had a great game against Chelsea, playing well in the cup, etc. And he's back in everyone's teams. I think he's essential for the weeks going forward. That's why I've kept him in from then, because his fixtures going forward now for like the next, I think until like nearly March. He's got fantastic fixtures. So, yeah, what are you saying, Ben? Do you think the Spurs boys are there or thereabouts? Because for me personally, I think Fulham are a much more defensively better side than Brighton. And we've obviously mentioned that they've both had to play 120 minutes. So there's not real big difference in terms of that.
I would agree with you normally in terms of Fulham's defensive shape, but the fact is that today is the day that they realised that they've got to go to Tottenham. Given 2 days' notice, no side competitively, no side even across football will be able to prepare for a game against another team in the league with 2 days' notice and come out with a real positive result and real positive structure to their play and a real good plan. We know that Fulham probably have had a plan in the works of how they're relatively going to stop this Tottenham team, but they've now got 48 hours to implement a plan to defend against this Tottenham team and work out how they play. I mean, I feel sorry for the analysts at Fulham FC right now because they've been dealt a real bad hand, and that's the only reason why I can really justify potentially having Kane and Son as one of my captains this week. Usually, if this was a normal game week, I'd agree with you 100%. So KDB, no doubt about it. But because of the situation, that's what's making me go, hang on, is that
I think
he's
talked himself into it. You can see it.
You can see him talking himself into it. I mean, I doubt I'll get to the stage where I captain one of them. I think I'll just leave the FPL
over the other side of the room for KDB. Get on the Spurs.
I mean, I'll just try not to join the Spurs train, but I think I'm gonna. It's the safe option, KDB. At the end of the day, we know Brighton don't defend the best against the big teams, so we'll go KDB anyway. But yeah, I can probably see myself talking myself into some sort of decision, flip of the coin at the last possible minute, something like that. Which I hope I don't. But you know what? It's one of them things of playing FPL, isn't it? It's one of them things. We'll look into differential picks of the week. Now, there's probably not going to be too many this week, are there, Josh? Like, realistically, there's a template team out there. But
because it's obviously only 6 games going from it. It's going to be very hard to find players that obviously not a lot of people have. I think one that might trickle into a few teams might be Neto of Wolves. If anyone's scoring in that Wolves team, it's probably him. He looks the most dangerous going forward for sure. And if there is a goal in that game, I think it's either him or Richarlison, one of those two. But other than that, maybe like some of the Sheffield United boys, if you really fancy them trying to score against Newcastle. I just can't really see much happening, to be honest. A few of the games have 0-0 written all over them, which means like you need triple ups from the bigger teams.
Yeah. Braydon, do you have any sort of differentials that you could potentially point out to being somewhat a good option for this week?
Well, I know I've seen a lot of the comments and people are mentioning sort of Maguire, sort of Wan-Bissaka, sort of defenders like that. I think one that's gone under the radar a little bit, I know he picked up a knock in the last game, so he may be a doubt for it, but I think Eric Bailly is as good a shout as anyone else. I mean, 0.6% selected. He's only 4.9 million. I think, in my opinion, he should start if he's fit next to Maguire. That's our best defence. But obviously, I'm not Ollie, am I? And he does love Lindelof and Maguire. So I think that is sort of a wild shout if he was to play. I know, obviously, he did get that knock against Watford, which is a bit of a shame for all United fans. But Bailly's a shout. But like you said, Neto, I think, you know, he is like one of the Wolves' outlet. Really, he scores the goals, he creates stuff. Him and obviously Podence as well. They do link up well together, and hopefully when Jimenez does hopefully return, you know, if them two are firing for him as well later on, then that could be some threat for Wolves going forward. Because I don't think Fabio Silva has really filled their boots that Jimenez has left. So I just think sort of like you mentioned, Neto, Podence if he's available, and possibly Bailly as well as a defensive option instead of Maguire or maybe a Wan-Bissaka, because Wan-Bissaka will start, but maybe Bailly might be a bit cheaper.
Yeah, I've just seen Lewis has said captain Timo Werner.
Get him out.
Don't know how well we'll do this week with Chelsea having no game, but I do have Kepa in my team because of TikTok. So
He'll absolutely love that.
he will love that. He will love that. Kepa is in the team. He's in the starting 11 as well. So yeah, I'll put out a couple of differential options that maybe people are overlooking. I don't know what's going on, but Regulon's still only 6.4% owned. Now that's crazy to me. 5.7, I know is a bit more, but if people are free hitting, surely he's got to be one of the options you're looking to go for in your team. He's off the back of he had a bit of a rest, didn't he, against Marine? So he could do all right. And I think against the Fulham team, again, like I said, they won't have a sort of a plan. So I just think Regulon can get at that team. And yeah, the second option is Emil Smith-Rowe, who I mentioned earlier, at 4.4 million, 2.9% owned, playing ahead of Nicolas Pepe at the moment. That's a great option to go for, really, especially for this week. For me, perfect bench player to have. He's starting. He's going to be playing. So, I mean, the perfect player to have in that position, really. Josh, can you think of any more sort of differential options that could be going under the radar on the free hit?
It's interesting with Smith-Rowe. Like for me, with a free hit, you just have all the funds available to you to go big in the starting 11 and just get the players like who are playing on the bench. For me, if you're free hitting, he's at best a bench player. I don't really see him starting in a lot of teams unless you're literally getting like £10 million players everywhere, which I don't think is really possible with the injury news of Sterling. He might not play the whole game. So it'll be interesting with that. He's great, don't get me wrong, and definitely for like in the future, if he continues playing for Arsenal and he's taking that first team spot, he's without doubt great value for money, a starter in an Arsenal's team that are in form. You've got to be happy with that. I've seen Finding Timo saying, is Dyer an option? We spoke about him briefly, saying obviously he might not play, might play. We have to keep an eye on Mourinho's press conference. Obviously, Spurs, I don't think they don't. When do they play? Wednesday. I think they play Wednesday or Thursday. Yeah. So yeah, they've got a couple of days. Yeah, so keep an eye on Mourinho's press conference. Obviously, you can't change much because obviously the deadline's tomorrow. But it'll be interesting. So I think he should play because he's played every minute in the Premier League at the minute, and he speaks Portuguese, as I mentioned. That's why Mourinho plays him every week.
I think if you have him in, make sure you've at least got one bench player that's going to guaranteed come straight in, because I think it's almost worth the risk having him because he's so much cheaper than some of the other options in that Spurs defense.
You said like 5.7 for Regulon. That's 0.6 of a saving. So a lot that you can do a lot with 0.6 million in this game.
We'll go into more comments. That leads us on pretty nicely, doesn't it? Finish up with a few comments. Finding Timo, who thank you for commenting, Kepa. Really do not appreciate my funds being wasted on the keeper that's not playing. He says, would Cancelo be a better option than Diaz because he's more attacking? Braydon, what's your thoughts on that?
The obvious option is yes, because like you said, he will go forward and get more goals and assists than Diaz. But the way Diaz is playing at the minute and against Brighton, I think like City are not guaranteed a clean sheet, but it's very likely they will get one because, like I said, him and Stones against United were unbelievable. And against Brighton, I don't think, as we mentioned, they played 120 minutes. So, yeah, I think either option's good. Like you said, you're not wrong saying Cancelo would probably be better because he's more attacking, but Diaz is equally as good. And I think, him and Stones could probably nail on to get a clean sheet in that game.
I'm calling it now. Ruben Diaz is scoring against Brighton. I can see it. I can see it.
Big call that. I've seen this comment a couple of times, to be fair, from Shiv. Thank you for commenting. De Gea and Saiss or Wan-Bissaka and Darlow. What are we saying about that? I mean,
it's interesting, isn't it? Because obviously the United clean sheet is there. So it's basically, do you trust Wolves or Newcastle more?
But do you trust that Darlow even play?
I think he will.
I think I've been watching Sky Sports News today, and it's been like basically 3 players are meant to be coming back into the first team, and Darlow was one of them named. And Steve Bruce has mentioned that it's his shirt to lose to Dubravka, which is very interesting. So yeah, no, it's interesting because obviously it's a valid point with Dubravka playing in the FA Cup at the weekend. So I think both are pretty much nailed on. For me, I'd probably opt for the Bissaka-Darlow duo, just because I think Everton have more of a threat than Sheffield United do going forward. Even without DCL, they still have Richarlison, they still have James Rodriguez. These are world-class players. Let's not get it twisted. So yeah, both of them. And he said, what's he say? Saka starting, whoever Bissaka would start over Saka. So much Saka going on.
There's a lot of Saka in that
Saka.
For me personally, I'd always play the attacking player just because they're more likely to score than you to get a clean sheet, in my opinion. What did you do, Ben?
I'm almost leaning towards De Gea and Saiss because I have them in my team. I mean, that'll be. I think Everton have so many injuries up front. There's no DCL, potentially no Richarlison. Rodriguez doesn't look like the player he did at the start of the season. He looks less rejuvenated, if you know what I mean. So I don't know if Everton are going to provide that threat that they did at the start of the season, and they did in games such as at Fulham, where they had a almost full complement of attacking players to choose from. So that's the reason I'd go for that. And Wolves, when they play, never usually many goals in the game. So that's why I'd go for that. De Gea, I've actually been quite impressed by him in recent weeks. He's made a few key saves in good times for United. Like, they've been crucial saves at some points. So I've been thoroughly impressed by him. So the potential to get save points as well as a clean sheet is very enticing to me. I don't think Darlow's going to be facing as many shots as De Gea potentially will in that game, because Sheffield United, they don't shoot a lot and they don't get forward a lot. And I know that it's basically the risk of me wanting more points and being greedy about it. So that's why I'd go De Gea. We got an interesting comment from Jonathan. Salah, Bruno, KDB and Son. One has to go.
Obviously, well, this would be long term, I guess, because obviously Salah doesn't play this week. I think long term, you've got to look at Salah, Bruno and KDB, because those three, they're what the team runs around. Like Son, not so much. Spurs can live without Son, in my opinion, whereas Liverpool, United and Man City, they can't live without those players. Bruno, we've seen everything goes through him. He's goals and assists galore. Same with KDB in many aspects, just not as on a prevalent scale, shall we say. And Mo Salah just loves goals. Like, he will do anything to score goals. So I think they're the three for me. What about you, Braydon? Which three would you take out of those?
It's a tough one because right now I'd go Bruno, KDB, Son. But like you mentioned, I think there will be a time in the season where Liverpool do come back, and Salah will start firing, and so will Mane. Because it's like you said earlier, which club do you go big on? One of the comments was, and I think you got to look at now. For me, you got to look at the three teams at the minute who are sort of up there to win the league, and the two favourites are Liverpool and City. United are the underdogs to win the league. And then you got sort of your Tottenhams, your Chelseas, all your other teams where if they put a run together, they'll be up there, and you can possibly nick a player from that. So, look, I think going back to this, yeah, I think I agree with you, Josh. Right now, I'd go Son possibly over Salah because he's not cutting the mustard. But I think long term, Salah, Bruno, KDB would be mine.
Yeah, I can't argue with that, to be honest. Question from Glenn. Don't worry, Glenn, we haven't missed your questions. I'm just trying to go through different people and different questions. 6 available players, 3 hit already played weeks ago. Would you play your wild card?
Tough one. Especially only having 6, like Braydon, obviously he only has 6, and looking at that team, I'm just a bit worried. But it is only game week 18. There are still 20 game weeks to go. A wild card is a huge thing to play, and I think scraping out on some points, as long as you have like at least 2 of the big hitters of Son, Kane, KDB, and Bruno, as long as you have half of those, I think you'll be good enough to go. I don't think it's going to be a very high scoring week other than the big hitters, so I think you could sort of survive, if that makes sense. So I personally would save it just because I know how important the wild card can be.
Braydon, what do you think about that?
I mean, Glenn's in a similar boat to me, really. Look, just stick what you got. If you've got enough players which you think can get you the big points, like for myself, I've got sort of Bruno, Rashford, players like that, where I think they could get me the big points, and I'd stick with it and possibly use my wild card or my free hit later on when I feel more changes need to be made. So I'd stick it out if you feel you've got the players which can bag you the points. But maybe if you're looking at it and thinking, I could possibly get X, Y, Z in, then do that.
Yeah, I've 6 available players. Usually in a game week, you'd have 6 or 7 players return in an all right game week. So if all of those players return, you're looking all right, and you've got away with one, haven't you? So
do the lottery if that happens.
Yeah. I mean, it's been done before. I mean, I've come off the back of 2 players returning in my team and come away with 60, 70 points. So it's doable.
I would say if you have 6 available players, you need to make sure you pick the right captain choice. That's what your effort and focus needs to go into, because if your captain blanks, you are looking down.
Yeah. I mean, it is crucial. The captain pick, if you've only got 6 players and you're in that position where you've already used a free hit, captaincy is of utmost importance. Do your research if you only got 6 players, because I just seen Glenn's comment again. How many of you are still in the FPL Cup?
You gotta love it for this. That's probably like the 7th time he brought it up today.
That's it. I just live rent free in his head. So
I know I am. I'm in the FPL Cup.
It's all right.
I don't know if I am. I don't know. So probably not for me.
Probably not. I mean, it's all right, because this time next week, Glenn will be out the FPL Cup because he's only got 6 players. So. good luck with your 6 players in the FPL Cup, mate. Good luck. Good luck. We'll take a couple more questions before we wrap it up. Jonathan, for game week 19, which is better to play, bench boost or triple captain? Interesting question. That
is a very interesting question. Obviously, we'll be doing our game week 19 preview on Friday, as that's the only day that there's no football on this week. So make sure you check that out. But for me, I've been toying with the idea of triple captaining Kevin De Bruyne, because they have home fixtures against Crystal Palace and Aston Villa, which are very tasty. It all depends on how he plays against Brighton. If he pops off against Brighton, it will tempt me heavily. Bench boost, you just need to see if you have a good enough bench, why not play it? Do you know what I mean? Like that's the way I look at bench boost. You're not going to gain serious amounts of points out of bench boost, in my opinion. I think the maximum probably 30, if you could at best. For me, triple captain maybe, bench boost depends on your squad.
Yeah, I mean, you got to look and see whether triple captain will be worth it. I mean, the only option you'd look at is probably De Bruyne for a triple captain in game week 19, or potentially Salah if you want to risk it. But I'd say bench boost is probably a better option for game week 19. I know a lot of people on Twitter have been banging on about it, but what you got to make sure is you don't follow the trend. If you're looking at people who are bench boosting and thinking, hang on, I could fall behind here, just look at your team and almost play out the game in your head and think, right, could I see this player getting points? Who could I see scoring on the other team? Who could I see scoring on his team? Will my player be involved? And from there, you just make up your mind whether you think there's enough points in it. Braydon, what do you think on game week 19 bench boost or triple captain?
Yeah, I think it was Josh who mentioned it. I think your only option for triple captain is De Bruyne this week. I think the only time I would captain Bruno just to make sure would have been Sheffield United, but we won 3-2 and he didn't even get a goal contribution. So luckily, I did forget about that and missed out on it. So yeah, I think De Bruyne is the only real shout maybe for triple captain against Brighton, because I think this game's sort of made for him now. Bench boost, you're sort of activating prime Van der Beek here with your bench boost. I don't know. I think I mean, my bench isn't exactly meaty as it is. I mean, a lot of my players aren't playing anyway, so you just have to see. You just have to see what you're working with. If you feel your players are going to be playing and possibly returning, have decent fixtures, then go for it. But you may have to wait up and see when the right weekend comes around for you to play that, where sort of all your players on your bench have good fixtures and are sort of playing, I guess. But I don't have De Bruyne, so I wouldn't play either this week, in my opinion. But no, that's my thoughts.
Yeah, definitely. Should we wrap it up there then?
Yeah, I think we've
unless you see another question in now, I'm ready to wrap it up. As always, thank you to Braydon for coming on. S&S Football Podcast. Go check it out. A little insight into what it is again, Braydon, in case there's some new people here that haven't seen it before.
Yeah, so like I said, it's just a football podcast that me and one of my mates do. That's on the same uni course as me. We just talk football. We've got a few episodes out from sort of starting. I think we started game week 10, maybe a bit before that, maybe game week 8. So that's when we started. And then obviously over January, we're trying to do sort of live streams most nights on sort of the January transfer news. And people are free to come on. Like I said, Josh has been on. Branner, we're going to get you on shortly off the Omar Richards news, so we're going to get you on for that. And yeah, we've had other people on, so yeah, people are free to come and interact and drop us a sub. And when we're not live, all the transfer news is on our Twitter. We retweet stuff and tweet stuff out. So yeah, that's what we do, to be honest. But it's been a pleasure, boys. Thanks for having me on again, and hopefully I'll see you lot soon.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for coming on, mate. Always a pleasure. Make sure you check out, obviously, Braydon's links in the description. Our links will be there too. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Make sure you check out the Instagram. We're posting content on there almost daily now. So yeah, that's been all. Hope you all have a good game week 18. And obviously, we'll see you before game week 19. Thanks for tuning in as well. And then, Brown, I'll leave it to you, mate.
Yeah, so as always, like, comment, subscribe, follow TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, you name it. Please follow it. I've been Ben.
I've been Josh.
And I've been Braydon.
And we'll see you guys
Later. Have a good game week, everyone.
In a bit, guys.